I think people who eat unhealthy food more frequently, they are maybe not hearing the messages that their bodies are sending. That about me being happy and smiley and that's how you know me. But I think there's just loads of things that probably are connecting to it. And then you realize how important this thing called microbiome is. And that's the thing that determines whether you have infections, whether you fall ill. One of the key steps to getting that is just eating 30 different plant-based things during the week. I mean, it seems like much, but then you count it and you realize that actually if you're having balanced diet, that's actually quite straightforward. It's achievable.
Hello everyone, welcome to Conversation Over Wine. I'm Laksika. This podcast starts from the idea that wine isn't just about the wine itself. Maybe it's about the people, the atmosphere, and the conversation that we have with them. In today's episode, it's going to look a little bit different visually because of the technical issue. But I really don't want you guys to miss this one because the guest on this episode, she's one of the most joyful and energetic people I know. But what more interesting is she comes from a serious world of finance. She spent over a decade working across major banks, big four firms, and one of the largest fintech companies. So today we are not going to talk about finance, but we are going to talk about her food, her lifestyle, and the secret behind that good energy. Please welcome Patti Drewek.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for joining me today. So maybe I have to tell you guys a little bit more. Patti is my first muse that I made the wine holder for her. So other from work in the finance kind of world, she also so passionate about wine.
Yeah, I've been passionate about wine for way too long now, and it's taking it to the next level. But the wine holder that you've made for us is absolutely stunning, and we have so many people asking as well about it because it's so unique and special. So thank you so much for it.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
So hi lately, what are you up to?
Well, I just came back from doing a 3-peak challenge. So those of you who don't know what 3-peak challenge is you're going up the 3 tallest mountains in the UK. So we start off in Scotland, going up Denbies. We then travel down to Lake District to climb Saffel Pike and finish off on Snowdon. You're meant to do it in 24 hours. We were a mixed abilities group and it took us 31 hours. So 31 hours of intense workout and very little rest. So if I'm a little bit weird, it's whatever one of the things I say is just being tired.
You still look energized. So you be good. And before anything, let's pour the wine. So the wine I prepared for you today is called Bacchus. It's a white wine from Denbies Wine Estate, which is I visited them last Monday. And the reason we choose this one is because this now that we're talking is like English Wine Week.
I love English wine. It's very understated. And I love Bacchus because of the name. Did you find out what the meaning of Bacchus is?
So the Bacchus is like the god of wine. I know that you can ask.
I mean, I just love that the name is an image, so it also makes it easier to drink. Right? I mean, if you think about, in the olden days when people were drinking wine, this was either celebration or it was because you were normal. You just drink wine now for lots of other reasons, right? To celebrate, to just enjoy with friends on the sofa talking about random things. So, yeah.
It's nice.
What do you think about? What do you smell?
Some kind of plum.
Okay, what sort of flower?
It's not the sweet one. No, I feel like the kind of fresh cut grass.
Fresh back grass. Yeah. There's no right with it. Whatever it is that you smell it. So try some. What do you taste?
It's a bit dry.
It's quite acidic. Like I usually when I think of Bacchus, I always think of like biting into fresh green apple. It's like, really when you think of like Hannah Brown Smith apple, So it has that level of acidity, but it's quite refreshing as well at the same time. And if you serve it really cold, I drank Bacchus once at a vineyard. It was like in March. It was ground frost. It was very cold, and I was serving it, and it was just that crispiness was just beautiful day to drink. In like random, random cold day, you would normally think that drinking white wine would be reserved for summer, but it does. This one goes really nicely when it's very cold. It brings out loads of flavors.
So we're gonna talk about healthy eating today. Let's when are we saying like what healthy eating means to you?
It's a very good question because I think healthy eating means different things to different people. And for me, healthy eating is, well, let's use this analogy. So let's say I consider myself a Ferrari. I'm Suzuka and I got super engine. And in order for me to work well, I need to give myself the best fuel. So obviously when I was in my 20s, I didn't necessarily pay that much attention to what I was eating because it was just I didn't necessarily think about it. But I felt like as I was getting older, it was more important to me why am I eating certain things? Like what is it that they're giving me? So am I eating them because they're giving me energy, or am I eating them because they are protecting some of my internal organs later on in life, make sure that they function correctly? Or am I eating them because they're giving me good energy or whatever it may be? It was just about understanding why am I, the food I'm choosing to eat, what effect they have on me, and also where they come from, what's in them. So when you're buying like, food that contains several ingredients, what are those ingredients? So that's, for me, healthy eating is knowing what I'm eating, ideally where it comes from. And these are kind of the key things, and why am I eating? What's the purpose of me, consuming on this broccoli? For instance, it's my girl's out, so he eats broccoli, and every time it lands on his plate, I said, "Why am I eating broccoli again?" It's like because it's good for you. You will thank later when you're old and wrinkly and it's still functioning well. That's what healthy eating's in.
So what kind of diet are you having lately? Or have you been like following lately?
So personally, I hate the word diet because that indicates that it's a temporary thing. That is just certain purpose, right? So I have tried loads of diets in my life, and there were all sorts. I went on keto, I went paleo, Mediterranean, cabbage diet. I mean, you name it, I've been there, I've done it. And this is some work, as in you can do all the paleo, but then we're not set up to live in a world where everything we're eating is ancient grains and comes from, like it's not processed. So that's just not the reality of our life. So I went to a dietitian a few years ago, and I said, I'm not interested in losing weight. Like, that's, if I get slimmer, then that's awesome, but that's not why I'm here. But why I'm here is because I want to make sure that my body is functioning the best way possible because I'm fueling it in the right way. And I want to learn and understand what that does it mean. And I just, it's more of a learning. So I worked with her for a year, and she's created for me food plan, which I followed for a year. A few kgs dropped out of the scale, but it was more about how I actually ended up feeling because of what I was eating and the quality of your skin, the quality of your sleep, and just all these different things that came from, I put it down to the fact that I changed of how I was eating because of her.
That's nice. I think I met you when you still like have like planning this.
Yeah, oh, right. Okay. Yes. So I'm still using it. So she sold it from me for a year, and I'm still recycling because there are lots of benefits.
Okay, so you kind of tell us a little bit about what you tell your dietitian or what you want to achieve. But are there other reasons behind the beginning of your healthy eating journey?
So you will probably find that there've been loads of different things going on recently about kind of educating us a little bit more about what food means to us and what certain foods do to our internal organs, our microbiome, all these lovely things which for a lot of people may be like, what is she talking about, microbiome? But so I just ended up watching some podcasts. A recent one was with Jay Shetty. Her interviewed this lady called Dr. Casey. And it's called Good Energy, and it's absolutely fantastic. But it's a heavy book in a sense. It's going really deep into healthy eating and what it means, and lots of other topics. But it kind of just made me realize that there's just so much more that hides behind what we put into our body, that it impacts how certain things interact with each other, like impacts our cholesterol, sugar levels. And when you're young, you're not necessarily thinking about those things, but I'm now in my 40s. And as I'm getting older, I feel that I want to grow older gracefully, and I want to look young. I want my skin to look good. I want to be mobile, active, and you have to start thinking about those things early on. So that thing actually went down the rabbit hole. I watched something. It sparked some idea in my head about, do I know where my chicken comes from? So I can really ask myself that question. And then you kind of just end that going journey where you are just interested about what it is that you're eating. Because eating is such an important part of our life, right? Without food, we wouldn't survive. So why not give it some attention and some thought?
That's interesting. So, as a people who not eating that healthy, when you think about the healthy eating, is a bit overwhelmed, and I don't know where to start.
So what is the phrase that you suggest that is like, oh, it's not that high. It just started this.
So it's about eating things where you can identify on your plate what it is, each of the things that you have on your plate. Because a lot of the times we consume things that have been mixed up, processed, whatever, right? And you can't differentiate what it is at certain thing that you're looking at, what is inside. So the starting point would be to actually, when you're looking at your food, to be able to identify every single ingredient that you have. Let's say if you eat meat, you will have a piece of meat, right? So kind of looks like. And then you will have some vegetables, and you have those vegetables. You can name every single vegetable that you have on there because you can see what it looks like. So it's just about taking it back to basics, just to start with eating things that come in a natural form.
Yeah,
It is something similar to the whole food kind of thing that become quite popular recently. That you have to eat the food in the state that are closer to the natural form.
Yeah, it's just about not eating half products. So, for instance, let me think. I don't know that chips would be a good form, but because not all chips that you buy frozen are just potatoes. It could be potatoes with something else. It could be coated with stuff. Okay, but there's nothing wrong with potato, right? If you take a potato, peel it, chop it up, put a little bit of olive oil on it, put some salt in it, it's perfectly fine and nutritious to eating. But if you're ending up buying a chip that ended up becoming a fry, that ended up being put through some processes to end up in your freezer, then you've already destroyed quite a lot of nutritional value from it. So I extend the whole concept about whole foods. Now, I'm not the food expert, right? I'm just someone who made a decision that I want to live a healthy life, and I really want to continue being healthy and live a long life if I choose well what I put in my body.
So now is the time maybe. Can you give me the example of how your grocery shopping look like? What kind of food that you buy or how you process it, how you prepared it?
One thing that I've learned that I mentioned about myself after having worked with the dietitian is that she was creating a food plan for me that I had for a month, and it was just every 7 days in the week. And one thing that allowed me was to always know what I'm eating. So let's say in some weeks I would have three main meals and two snacks in between those meals. So let's say after breakfast, you get hungry and then we can let's just pick something random like I find in the drawer, naughty cupboard or whatever you want to put it. And then you end up eating that which is not serving you, right? It's not nutritious, it's just something that you just end up wearing. But if you have a food plan and it's said you're having breakfast and then at let's say 11 o'clock you're having snack, and that snack is 30 grams of chocolate or something like that. It could be lots of different things that you're having as your food plan. How likely is it that you are going to go and pick up something tea? You're more likely to be like, well, I'm due to eat in 5 minutes or 10 minutes, and it's going to be some chocolate or, some raspberries or whatever it may be. And usually you will end up just eating the thing that you were told to eat. And not only that, you will end up eating the thing that you have in your plan, but also because you've had a plan, food plan, you most likely would have gone to the shop and so that for those things. So your house ended up being filled with all this nutritious food because you have done your shopping for the next few days. And, I'm not saying I don't have a multi-cupboard. I do have one. It's just the likelihood of me going into it when I have a food plan, and I had done my shopping is very unlikely.
That's nice. So it's more like planning than you build the habit of like going less to the naughty, for example.
I'm not genuinely a naughty girl, right? So for me, you could put a slab of chocolate in front of me and it would be in exactly the same place as you left it because I don't eat sweets. So that's just my natural thing. But if you put some salted roasted nuts or some pretzels or something savory, I'm like, yeah, I can't guarantee that will still be there when you come back. So to answer your question, I think the thing that stops me from being naughty and going into the naughty cupboard is having had the plan. So I would normally go and do my shop. I like to go to the shop because I eat with my eyes. So I go and I want to pick my tomatoes and cucumbers and fruit and veg rather than having it delivered. So I take the time to go and get my vegetables and fruit just from a local supermarket. I do choose organic food just because I prefer to eat organic because of the use of pesticides and stuff. So that's my personal choice. But I think if you're just starting out, it's just about just easy fruit and veg and kind of those ingredients. And I buy my meat from Butcher, which provides heritage breeds of meats. So they are slow weird. So they're not your kind of mass production meats. So when I do eat new meat, it's good quality. So I will always plan everything ahead and I'll always have at home everything that I need for the whole week.
I think you remind me of the thing which is maybe not related to the food actually, but is the way you eat that. For the example, if you are being mindful of what you are eating, you know where it from, how it grow, and how it come to your plate, you be a bit more grateful, and it give you the kind of good energy, even when you haven't eaten it yet. And when you eat it, it's kind of bring those good things into your body.
Yes, and and with the whole meat situations, I don't know if I didn't pay attention, but after watching that Jay Shetty interview, I think it was Dr. Casey who was saying that let's say you would compare burger beef from McDonald's, burger beef from a burger joint, and burger beef from butchers, right? And the kind of the key thing is that one could say, "Oh, we're eating beef burger," and what's the difference? But the difference is what I've learned recently was that where the beef came from in terms of the cow that actually gave the meat and what that cow ate and how it was bred and all the things that ends up inuring your burger, right? So potentially the beef that's used in McDonald's burgers is not of the highest quality because they have to do a high quantity of it, right? They may claim it's good quality, but like comparing to something that's genuinely good quality may not be there. And then the beef that you're eating from, let's say, a butcher will have significantly more nutrients, vitamins, and all the great goodness that you actually want to be getting from eating that meat. So I've taken it to the next level, which is, I don't only want to eat healthy, but I also want to know what I'm eating really people. So if I'm going to be eating, and it's interesting what you said, because a lot of people say, oh, but eating healthy is expensive. But I think if you look at my plate of what I eat for dinner, for instance, a breast of chicken and some vegetables, I mean, that is not huge. It's not an expensive meal. But a lot of people would go and buy a shake or something else. And that's more expensive probably than what I just put on my plate. Actually, healthy eating doesn't have to be expensive because you're actually not eating a huge quantity of food. Well, unless you're a bodybuilder. So, I mean, I eat just normal portion.
So you mentioned the podcast that JHD have Dr. Casey as a kid. And one interesting thing from the podcast that she said is like when you want to see which food is good for you, you don't have to listen to her, you don't have to listen to the doctor, you don't have to listen to any kind of science, but you have to listen to your body and it will tell you like the best information it can. And so can you tell me like how are you like observing your body when like, they want to tell you something and how you like adjust to it or how you treat the sign that the body can try to show you?
Well, again, what I found interesting was before we go to the dietitian, me and my partner were buying fitness food that was pre-made and was delivered to our house once a week. And we had our lunches, dinners, in this supposedly balanced diet for people who are physically active from a fitness perspective, not like working physically, but working out. And it was meant to give me all the nutrients, the right kind of split of carbs, fats, and protein. And it might be disgusting because we're drinking wine and eating tea. But I ended up getting quite a lot of plaque on my teeth. And I was like, that's unusual because I never suffered with that problem. So I went to hygienist, had it removed, and within a month or so, like a really big buildup of and I was like, that is unusual. That was weird. And so as it happened, I think the company went bust and we stopped using them. I also went to the hygienist, had it removed. I was like, why are you coming back so soon? And as soon as I start eating that food, the quack problem solved. And I was like, obviously, I don't know what's in that food because they supposedly freshly prepared it for you and then had it shipped to your house. And it was meant to be balanced, nutritious food. But obviously, whatever was in that food wasn't that was odd. And I'm not having you're eating your lunch, and a lot of people in the UK will relate where you're in the office, you just had your lunch, and then about 3-4 o'clock you're just having a drop of energy. But then when you look at most people in UK have for lunch, it's a sandwich, bag of crisps, and a can of pop. Right. So you're eating a huge amount of carbohydrate, not very much nutrition. And then what happens? Chew those up. I mean, I'm not a doctor, but like makes perfect sense, right? Sugar goes up. And then as quickly as it went up, it just crashes down because this is not stable sugar. It's not slow releasing sugar. It's fast releasing sugar. And it goes up, goes down. And then what do we do? It's 3 o'clock. And someone says, is it a cup of tea time? And bring you a biscuit and like a tea. And then you're adding some more sugar, right? And so you kind of like, if you're eating nutritious food as well balanced, you don't have crashes. You like your energy levels just the same. So you don't feel sluggish, you don't feel tired. You've got good levels of energy and you're working at your highest performance all the time. Don't you?
So I just wondering, so what kind of lunch should I have to not have the sugar rush and all the energy go down the hill just a bit after that?
Should be micro carbohydrates. So you normally like in terms of slow releasing carbohydrates, so sweet potato, brown rice, stuff like that. It's just you wouldn't be eating highly processed white bread with filling that doesn't contain any nutritional value because it's laded with mayonnaise and it's supposed to be mayonnaise chicken, but you can't really see the chicken because there's more of the mayonnaise. So I mean, I'm just you're using extremes as examples, but I work from home most of the time, and I go to the office once a week. And when I go to the office, I would normally ask for going and grabbing some salad that will then have protein in it. And so I do not find that usually is sufficient enough to keep me going for the whole week. I may sometimes be on Wednesday when I go to the office and someone twists my arm for a Kit Kat or something in the afternoon. But I don't think about something that maybe someone offers and I wouldn't say no. But it's not like I have a need for it. So I usually opt in for a salad or something with vegetables and meat or vegetables and fish.
So, from your like observation from yourself, are there any kind of food that you think like when your energy are quite low?
Yeah. So
It's when your energy are quite like low. What kind of food you gonna have after that?
tough question because I don't really have no energy.
Okay.
That's true. So let's change the question. For someone who have like a low energy, like when they wake up, they feel fatigue all the time, even when they have like 8 hours of sleep. Maybe so what kind of food should they have to feeling a bit more energized?
Well, so there are lots of different schools of thoughts as to what you should have in the morning, right? And I think it very much depends on what your morning looks like. So I tend to have protein heavy morning, and that because I work out in the morning. So when I wake up at about 5:30, 6 o'clock, I'm usually at the gym by 7, and I have my breakfast around 9, just before 9. And it will either be some sort of eggs, some sort of omelette with tomatoes, cheese, spinach. But you'll think that cheese is naughty, right? But no, I've got 30 grams of cheese in my omelette, which is lovely. I'm forward to Thursday in my omelette. Or I'll have yogurt with some blueberries in it and almonds, or I would have rice cakes with cottage cheese and egg. So, sometimes most what I'm carb cycling. So low carbs would be heavy on protein, medium carbs would be when you would have, fruit. So I want to have carbohydrates from fruit, but protein from yogurt, for instance.
So you made me feel again that it all linked to like you aware and be mindful of not just what you eat, but it also linked to the activity that you want to do, and that they are the kind of lifestyle that you have. If you like the bodybuilder, maybe you need the different kind of breakfast. But if you are going to the office, going to the gym before, maybe it's like a different one.
And honestly, I'm just sharing with you what I do, and I guess everyone will have a different needs and different journey that they're on in terms of what's right for them. But I guess if you are going to gym and then you are having a meal and you're still hungry, then that means that you hadn't consumed enough of whatever it is that you ate after your workout, right? So you either up your portion or maybe you release more carbohydrate because you had very intense cardio workout, right? I'm mainly at my age, I found out that the best workouts are weight related, so weightlifting of some form, which is when you use a lot of you need protein to rebuild their muscles. So for me, protein breakfast with my workouts works perfectly well. But when I was doing treat beach challenge, I started urging to load and carbs. And I was like, how? What am I supposed to be eating? It's like anything that you want, like really whatever snacks you want. And I was like, I still went to the shop and picked the healthiest snacks I could find. So that's an analysis of did you kick? Do you know what I've got this app called Yuka, and I use Yuka for anything that obviously is not in its raw form. So Yuka is this great app that allows me to see if the thing that I'm buying that's processed, so it contains loads of different ingredients, contains any harmful substances, any kind of man-made ingredients that could have that adverse effect on my body. So when I went to pick my snacks, I used my Yuka, which scanned all these packets of different protein bars and different things to pick the healthiest of whatever. So and they were delicious, but they were just nowhere near enough energy. I did not eat enough calories. So when the challenge finished, I don't remember last time I was that hungry. Was so hungry that I was willing to eat everything and anything, and I was not interested where it came from. Well, I was like, just give me food, I'm hungry. So, but that's extreme, and then you do feel the same on a normal day.
You mentioned the word extreme, and you find a lot of kind of diet like in a different way. I want to know which one you try and you consider like this one is so extreme.
Well, I think it was paleo. Because paleo, they wouldn't allow me to drink wine. It was many years ago, and I remember speaking with someone about paleo diet, and they told me that the only thing that I think you could have in paleo was Guinness, but that don't quote me on that because that was many years ago. It was like 11, 12 years ago, and I wasn't really a big wine drinker then. But there were so many restrictions with paleo, so that's not sustainable if you want to have a social life. If you want to go out with your friends for a meal to a restaurant, you cannot really do paleo because that's just not how the chef is going to cook it. It's not how the menu is built. So it's like, okay, you can be part-time paleo, then it was something that I did and it was fun. There was I've found some great paleo recipes of blueberry paleo muffins with grind almond flour and all those different things. And it was great. It was great to try it, but it's not something that I'm personally could live my life doing like every day. I love hanging out with my friends and having a nice glass of wine. And the conversation's too much, so I'm restricted by it.
Okay, we go back a little bit on observing. So we talk about how we observe our body, but do you have any tools that help you to observe your body? I saw you use the watch to measure your heart rate. Are there any other thing that you want to measure so you know that I'm still healthy or I'm eating the right kind of food?
Yeah, so when I was working with my dietitian, I had to go and have my body scanned once a month, I think. And the things that she was scanning me for were my fat mass, my muscle mass, and my visceral fat. And visceral fat is the fat that is around your organs inside that you can't see, not the one that you can pinch. There are plenty of that. But, and it's fine because my visceral fat is very low. So all what are really healthy levels of visceral fat for a woman. And again, I'm not a doctor, but what I was told, you kind of need to hover around 4.5, 5, there and around. And that just means that lowers the risk of you developing some kind of serious illnesses later on in life. So when I went to work with my dietitian, I said to her, for me, it's important that I have strong body because I work out weights and like active lifestyle, and I should be healthy from within. So that's what we're working. So when I finished working with her, I ended up getting myself one of those smart scales that measures visceral fat, body fat, a muscle mass, and I just use that as a weird reference.
Yeah. This is the one that you like just step on, they can measure a lot of stuff.
So mine one you step on,
Yeah.
and it has handles, and you pull the handle up, and then you kind of hold the handle, and it measures like surprisingly scans your whole body. How accurate is this? I don't know, but then I like the numbers that it gives me, so I will stick with it.
Oh no. Because I have one scale measure is in the toilet, but I feel like maybe I should not really the scale to tell me maybe the weight, yes, and like the body fats, the body mass and the muscles.
So I don't pay any attention to BMI. This is not. No. I mean, I'm not a thin girl, right? I'm just a normal build person. And my BMI was always showing bigger than what's considered health norms. But if you look at me, I'm not fat. So why are you telling me that I am? It's just because of my build. So anyway, I ignored. Others can say that I shouldn't, but I don't really care. It's like I use other metrics.
As long as you're guilty, as long as you're happy.
Well, I went to annual health check with my healthcare provider, and they've checked my results, and they told me that they were excellent. That my risk of heart attack in the next 10 years is like 0.01%. Something like that, like chance of diabetes equally very low. So clearly it's working for them. Body says for the results. I take that.
Yeah. So we talk about choice and how we observe ourselves. And one of the biggest thing affected by our food choice is the metabolic health. And it's helped to burn the energy, repair the cell, and keep our mood balance. So what kind of food that you actually can support the metabolic health?
It has to be balanced. So your body needs everything, right? So when people say, "Oh, I'm not eating carbs," so well, but how are you getting the energy? Right? It's like it's everyone will always say everything in moderation and everything in balance. And that's because your meals needs to be providing you with all the nutrients that your body needs to function. And I use my brain quite a lot during the day for my work. And so I need my brain to be fueled and have enough energy to be able to power itself to make decisions and stay active. So I need my, healthier omega-3 fats, and they come from heavy salad. And you need balanced amount of carbohydrates to give you good amount of energy, and then you need your proteins for your muscles because I work out at the gym and I do weights training. So I would say that you need everything that comes naturally as part of, foods. Obviously, you will find on the labels when you're buying food, because it's processed, it will have carbohydrates of which sugars, right? It will have salt. It will have all these other things that maybe we want to be a little more mindful of. But if you're making things from scratch, you decide how much salt you're putting in the food. And it will probably be significantly less than you're finding in something that's already been prepared for you.
So you talk about the metabolic health. It depends on the lifestyle.
Yeah, so I guess, okay, I'm not a food expert, right? But what I've learned so far in my journey is that it depends what your lifestyle is. So for instance, I train in the morning and I do weights training. So I would have replenished my body with protein. But it's more about making sure that you have balanced diet, as in you having carbohydrates, fats, and proteins. in the right kind of order within your day. And one thing that my dietitian said, and I think it's also covered in a book, that I think Dr. Casey said that you're meant to have 30 different plant-based things during the week, right? So I was like, 30? That seems like a lot. 30 different things. So what I did was I went and took my meal plan, and I've counted all the different plant-based ingredients that I have in a week. And I was like about 37. So I didn't even realize how many plant-based different things that you have. And she said that you're meant to have over 30 because that's what has impact on your microbiome. And I didn't know what microbiome was before I watched that interview. And I was like, what the heck's microbiome? And then you realize how important this thing called microbiome is. And that's the thing that determines whether you have infections, whether you fall ill, and, like all these different things. Like, it's super important. And if you think about one of the key steps to getting there is just eating the 30 different plant-based things during the week, that doesn't seem like much.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems like much, but then you count it, and you realize that actually, if you're having balanced diet, that's actually quite straightforward. It's achievable.
The other thing I heard from the podcast, and it's quite interesting, is she talked about polyphenol.
Yeah. So what did she say?
Maybe it's from that book, or I think she mentioned a little bit about the only food that microbiome is the polyphenol, which you can find from different type of vegetable. So all vegetables that have the polyphenol, but there are a lot of type in the polyphenol. That's why you need the various type of vegetable. The reason why the vegetable only have this polyphenol thing for our microbiome is how the plant kind of produce the energy is they absorb the sunlight, they do the photosynthesis kind of process, and then they store the energy from the sunlight in this polyphenol. So you kind of get that energy when you eat the vegetable.
It comes back to me. It's coming back to me. It was a very long time ago. I watched that interview, but I think you're right, because I remember that was that interview was the thing that made me think about the food that I eat and where it came from and what's in it. And so if you think about, I don't know, going back to meat, right? And we know that some meat that we have, that end up on our table, those animals were not maybe necessarily treated very well or kept in very good conditions, and they were being pumped with loads of different things for them to grow really fast, and then so that they can be chopped up and be ready for us to eat, which sounds awful when you think about it. But what that interview made me think about is like, okay, where is my food coming from? Where is my meat coming from? And if I have a choice, would I rather buy beef from a cow that has had a different life and was exposed to, I don't know, eating grass in a natural environment and wasn't rushed to grow, and all those different things? I think I didn't remember specifically this word, but now that you've mentioned the concept of it, I think that was one of the things that made me start looking into whether I buy organic or free range, whether I buy heritage breeds of meat, and all those kind of things. Like, where is my food coming from? What was it like for it before I ate it? Yeah. So you kind of you're eating your something that was had the best chance of being nutritious when it arrived for you to eat it.
And we talk about what to choose to eat. And next is what kind of food you want to avoid.
What food I avoid?
Yes.
highly processed. So for instance, it's an interesting one because my fiance he's on a different journey of eating. As in what if I cook for him and bring him food and kind of prepare everything, he's on board. But if I am not available and he's in charge, he would revert to um just just like he would destroy what looks like a perfectly healthy thing, and he would just slather it with sauces that are full of sugar and are highly processed and whatever. So I think for me, that what I find what I would class as that sort of when you are taking perfectly good thing and then coat it in some unhealthy things to add flavor. Like there are ways of adding flavor to things without having to do it. He would probably disagree with me, and so I would cook a meal, and he would take his portion, and then he would spice it up a little bit with just some extra stuff. I mean, he would eat the things that I cook most of the time, but I think he's a little bit um I think he is not there yet where I am. Oh, when it comes to when it comes to healthy eating, and that's perfectly fine as well. And you can't force anyone, but he understands the logic and he understands where I'm going with it. But if I had a choice, I would make my own sauce where he's comfortable with using a shop bought one that has loads of artificial stuff in it. When I first started my kind of journey with healthy eating, was that when you make food made from scratch, and then you, let's say, grab a bag of crisps, you find those crisps really salty. Imagine for a month you make every meal from scratch and you add salt to taste, right? And then all of a sudden you grab a bag of crisps, salty crisps, raisins. They're super salty. Or if I don't add sugar to like tea or coffee, and I don't genuinely have a sweet tooth, but my sugar would normally come from fruit, for instance. And so, and then all of a sudden you eat a cake or milk chocolate and you realize how sweet it is. It's interesting that it doesn't really take very long time for you to get to a point. So my fiance Ian, he is not in the same place as me. So we've got this internal joke that when I'm not around and he's alone at home, he will order himself Domino's because that's like a swear word in our house. So he's not allowed to eat Domino's when I'm there because I was like, why don't I just eat no meat having proper pizza? So he would order Domino's. And we've been on this healthy journey together for a while. Obviously, he's not in the same place, but he's catching up. Anyway, we had this massive revelation one day where he's ordered Domino's. I wasn't around, so he's ordered Domino's. And we're catching up the next day, and he says to me, I have a massive hangover. And I was like, what did you drink last night? And I was like, I didn't. I just had Domino's. And he's realized that because he's been eating clean with me, and the way that Domino's was prepared, the amount of salt that it had, made him feel physically like he went out the night before and was hangover the next day. And needless to say, we've not had Domino's since. Well, obviously, I've not had Domino's, but he's not had Domino's since because he's actually realized how bad it was. But because he was in it, as in he was not fully kind of converted to eating cleaner, he didn't realize until he've gone through a period of time of eating like significantly less salt, and he's realized how much salt was in Dominoes. And it's an interesting thing because I think if your body is used to eating processed or highly processed food and eating takeouts and all those things, then your body will be processing in a very different way. And then for someone like me who is not eating in that way, and then I eat it, I genuinely feel the effect that it has on me. And I think people who eat it the sort of unhealthy food more frequently, um they are maybe not hearing the messages that their bodies are sending them. And that's obviously that's when it's dangerous, because you're like, well, I'm feeling fine. And so it's only when you take a perspective and you kind of almost detox yourself from that sort of food and all, and then you try it, and like after, let's say, a month of detox, and then you go and try it, how does it taste? I genuinely don't know how many people would be like, oh yeah, this is like the most delicious thing I've ever had. Maybe they have, and that's fine for them as well, right? You like, everyone's on their own journey, but I quite enjoy eating like fresh fresh food, like fresh nice fish and seafood, nice crunchy vegetables, and like that genuinely gives me pleasure. So it's, for me, it's not, I'm not denying myself anything. I genuinely eat the things I like.
It's a thing about the microbiome you talked earlier.
Yeah.
Though, because they have different microbiome in your gut. And I'm not sure because if you keep eating the healthy thing, it's kind of like you already have the healthy thing in your gut. So you want more healthy things to eat. But if you eat like the other thing, like a carb, a really like the highly processed food, the thing in your gut will want more of
Yeah.
that kind of food.
It's interesting, right? How it works. And in I don't know if it was in that same podcast, but there was a conversation around, okay, so you've got someone who's been eating unhealthy and they want to start eating healthy, and they want to, turn things around for them. Um what do you do? Can you still fix things? And it's interesting that our microbiome, so you can just you can just rebuild them. Like, it's with the unhealthy eating, highly processed food, you're ending up, and again, I'm not a doctor and I'm not claiming to know exactly, but something along the lines of that, there is a lining in our microbiome that ends up being destroyed by the fact that we are eating things that are not providing nutritious nutrients for our body. So if you think about, our body will have receptors that when the food goes down the chain, it will pick up all the lovely things, right? All the things that it needs to do very well. But then if you put through the system something that doesn't have any nutritional value, then our body doesn't have anything to feed from, and it ends up starving, and it ends up being, not in a good place. But then if you decide to turn things around, so for anyone who's watching and it's like, I may give this healthy eating a go, and be like, well, start with whatever you can start with, because that will allow you for your internal organs to be like, hey, there is some amazing nutritious food coming down the system, like, let's grab it. And slowly you will start to feel a lot.
This is almost like to the part that we talking before.
Yes.
Before everything happened. I asked you like what kind of food you eat when you have the low energy, and your answers like you never ever have like the low energy kind of thing. And I think one part is like you say you are not the sweet tooth kind of person.
Yeah.
And I think sugar do a big part in make people have like the mood swing.
I put it down to when your body, your from the little that I know in terms of about healthy eating from what my dietitian said to me and all that. It's very important to have your meals at the regular times, right? Because your body is used to getting fuel from you at certain times. And so having regular meals, your body will then end up not asking for additional things in between. But of course, like for instance, I've since I've been having my food from eating according to my food plan, I don't have slumps of energy. I'm pretty much consistent throughout, but that's because I consistently give my body something to fuel from. So I'll have breakfast normally around about so like 8-9 o'clock, and then I would have a snack about let's say 10-11 o'clock. Then I would have my lunch, but it's about 1 o'clock. Then I will have my snack at about 4 o'clock. Then I will have my evening meal at about 7 o'clock. And so there is not enough time to in between meals because I know where my next meal is coming from and my body is used to being fed regularly. It doesn't ask for anything in between. It doesn't make me want to go and raid my naughty cupboard, which does exist in our house. And because I know where my next meal is going to come from. And so psychologically, I'm like, I know I'm not going to be eating in 30 minutes. I can just wait. Like, even if I'm feeling a little bit peckish or whatever. But it's more like, okay, maybe I'm ready to eat earlier than I was planning, but I'm not having drops of energy. Like I'm still performing. I'm just like, I'm a bit super peckish.
So for the people that have to go to the office like all the time, they were on the table and like sitting all day long, what kind of diet that you recommend for them?
I would recommend that if they want to still have money at the end of the month, to make food at home. So almost like, pre-prep your food your meal, depending on what your day looks like and whether you go to the gym or whether you don't, will contain of meat, fat or fish, and some vegetables and some carbohydrate. So for instance, if you don't go to the gym, then you're probably just fine to have meat, fish and vegetables. And then if you do go to the gym, you may want to add a little bit of carbs in it as well. So I'm my dietitian. It's just what my dietitian was putting for me. So that I know what to cook and how to prepare my food. So you just prepare something in advance and take it with you if you want to have homemade food. Otherwise, London, if you're in London, is such an amazing place when it comes to options of healthy things because you go to like a salad bar and you can see all the ingredients, right? So you're not eating processed. I mean, apart from maybe your dressing, that's processed, but everything else, you can tell what it is, so you can really make some good healthy choices.
Yeah. And you mentioned a lot that you go to the gym. I guess that is also the big part that helping you maintain like the kind of good energy.
Um, I think so. So I'm a morning person. I love my mornings. I'm up at between 5:30 and 6 o'clock. I'm at the gym before 7. And when I'm on my way back home from the gym, I'm bouncing off the walls. Like I've just had a tough workout, but I'm so charged up. I've got so much energy. I'm so happy. The endorphins are just like flying around my body. But that's just me, right? That's how that's what makes me happy. And I just love being up first thing in the morning before the whole world wakes up and gets on with the day. I love that by the time I come back home, I've already achieved so much and done things and seen people, and it just feels like you're making the most out of it. So I think, you said about me being happy and smiley and that's how you know me. But I think there's just loads of things that probably are connecting to it. It's just genuinely loving life. And
I just want to say inspired by you and Ian.
yeah,
Now I try, but now the best time is like 5:50.
in the morning to wake up.
Yes.
Do you know that's still early? But I was watching an interview, Jay Shetty's interview. I love the guy. He's got some really good conversations that, and I don't know the guy's name that he was talking to, but he was talking with this guy about sleeping, and I think he must be some sort of doctor because he was talking with some level of authority. But he was saying that not everyone is a morning person, and if you're not a morning person, you're best not to start getting yourself converted to be a morning person because it doesn't, from a genetic standpoint, it doesn't work out best for you. Well, I think I'm genetically a morning person because as soon as the sun is out the window, like, rises, like my body's like, let's go, let's conquer the world. And as soon as it starts out setting, I'm like, do not ask me any tough questions because I won't be able to tell you. And so he was, I think what's important for each to then find out, I guess, are you naturally a morning person but you haven't yet discovered it? Or you are more of an evening person and you're trying to convert yourself, because if it's the latter, then you're probably better off just being you.
I think I'm experimenting.
And that's a great thing to do.
I always think that I am the kind of a night owl. I always work lately, like, but I don't think it's healthy in the long run because sometimes I really like to work, and when I was in the architecture school, sometimes I work till like 4 or 5 a.m. in the morning, but I have to wake up maybe at 6 or 7 a.m. and I don't think my body can handle that even like right now. So I think I need to change. And when I change to like the morning person kind of thing, I feel like I can work as long as I want because I have whole day.
That's a long day, right?
Yes, so I can work, then I can take a break, I can go out for a walk, and I come back to finish like another task. Then I have my time for the personal life.
Yeah. So when you woke up, when you got up at 5:50, how did it feel? Were you like really groggy, or were you like, oh, it's 5:50, let's add it up, let's have your lunch, Rick?
If you want to convert,
Go on.
I pay to the gym membership that I myself consider is expensive for me.
Yeah.
Then I calculate how can it be like cheap.
Yeah.
And then I realize, oh, I need to go like this amount of time
Yeah.
a month to make it like maybe 5 or 10 pounds a time.
Yeah.
So I just,
So that's but you could go in the afternoon or in the evening. You don't have to go first thing in the morning.
so
Did you opt for off-peak membership or something random? Like,
now, so in this gym, I book a Pilates class and sometime I book the personal training thing. But if you can just do the late cancel or in like anything like that, just 3 times a month. After that, you need to like go there or else you cannot book.
so you book yourself a morning class. Yeah, so you get your ISC.
Because I want to wake up early. So I'm like, I need to be there.
You need to have the motivation to get up. Okay.
Yes. But after like 1 or 2 months, it's just like I'm happy to.
And how do you feel in the evening? Do you feel tired in the evening?
I feel sleepy.
By what time?
Oh, 10.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yes.
Because that's the natural thing. If you're getting up at 6, right? So if you go at 10, then that gives you 8 hours solid sleep. So that means that you're in the right cycle of sleeping. That's good. Because 10 o'clock, if you're getting up at 6, is the right time to go to sleep.
Yeah. But maybe I sleep a little bit like 1 hour later, but I need to
But still.
tell my body that it's time to sleep. So I dim the light down and light the candle. I read the book, that kind of thing. Then
Yeah, well, you create the environment that your body
Yeah.
feels. So I went to bed last night and I put this Jay Shetty interview with this guy about sleep, right? And I put my phone in the stand and I fell asleep listening to them talking about sleep. I mean, obviously I don't need help, but I was like, I was like, I don't want to watch TV. I just want to relax my mind. So I'm just going to listen to something in the background. And I was like, I don't even know at what point I fell asleep. So, yes, I guess that, but that's just because I wake up early. So 10 o'clock, like my body just shuts down and it needs to go to sleep because I go to the gym first thing in the morning. So before I even go to the gym, I go through emails and like whatever life happened from work perspective. And I feel that I go to the gym and by the time I come back and have my breakfast and stuff, I'm really set and ready for the day. And then the talking about the good energy that comes from exercises, from leaving the house and going for a walk first thing in the morning, from then having a nutritious breakfast. Because everything that I eat, I genuinely like the way it tastes, like the way it looks, and all those things. I look forward to my food. So there's lots of things that gives me reasons to be happy during the day, and so maybe that's why you thought that I'm always happy because you just got lots of reasons to be happy.
It's like inspired me to eat healthy enough.
And be up before 6 o'clock and 6 in the bed. No.
So we all talk about healthy food, and it's more like about mindful about the food you eat and the choice you make for the food.
Yeah.
And I think the way that we choose to eat the food is different depend on the situation. Maybe that day you were sick, you have a lot of energy. Maybe it's like after the long day of work. So I want to know like what kind of food do you go for in the different situation. So my first situation is like if you have the really long day at work and you haven't prepped any, maybe you have the meeting and you skip one of the meal that you prep and you plan to eat, what kind of food you go for?
Well, so that's a good question. And one thing that I always make sure of when I'm at home is that I always have healthy options in the fridge. So I will always have my food for the week there available. But yes, of course, situations happen when I can't cook something. I mean, saying that though, I have mastered a technique of cooking my meals. So all my meals are 30 minutes.
So thank you for being here with me today and share a lot of like
Random facts about my life.
yeah, that's nice. That inspired. So you already inspired you to like wake up early. So and I start to getting like want to change my eating habit a little bit, and I hope this like inspire a lot of people to change their habit too. Because I think if it like will make us healthy from inside and outside, so it would do. And to finish it today, I had a little gift for you. It's this one.
Ooh, what is it?
So I made, so maybe I didn't mention before in this podcast. So she's my first few meals that I made a wine holder for her.
I love that wine holder. It's so beautiful.
The one I made for her is come from her personality and Ian personality, which is her fiance. And the inside part they have the yellow color, which represent her.
Yes.
And this one is a wine decanter, but it's the small one. It's like 125 kind of wine, like kind of
So
size.
one person decanter, yeah. Yes. So there is me and my wine and great, love it.
So it's a small one, and it's the same color that will match with the wine holder.
It is. Yes, it is. And I love the little detail here. That's so beautiful. And the pink inside, is it to represent femininity? Femininity?
Femininity. I just think it's nice to contrast yellow with something, and it will go well with the whole corner. So you can just place this next to your wine holder.
Yeah. And I said, this is my portion. Do not touch.
So if Ian decide to join me, that's what he gets. What?
Thank you. That is very thoughtful. That's very true.
Thank Okay, so thank you everybody for watching like this podcast, and please subscribe and follow, and you will see the next one soon. Bye. Thank you.